Get started. Start late. Get started late.
They have, I was having a deal where,
Well, she's added up, she's gonna pay me for it.
You're live.
All right.
And that would be a discount.
yeah,
You
get
come
it
to
to,
church without being
25%.
robbed.
That sounds about
Yeah,
right.
I got mine yesterday, or today, I got
Robbed by the Spirit or robbed by your wife?
And so that doesn't guarantee that I'll be sitting
Oh,
for
that's
myself,
interesting.
because as you buy your ticket, I don't think you can, but I don't know, I'm there.
I'm gonna get me a new binder. No binders falling
Find
apart.
somebody.
Excuse me, I know you will.
You go right on
Probably
ahead.
look out right behind me.
I gotta still get all this together. We're in the last part of that. Okay. There's that one.
That's the way Travis was. He didn't aggravate you.
Okay, I think I got this.
He aggravated you, he liked Travis. That's the way.
All right.
If I didn't say nothing to you, you got something to worry about.
I'm that way too.
What?
If I'm silent towards you, you got something to worry about.
Hi, Mom.
If I'm wandering and aggravating, you're okay.
Okay, next time you inform me.
And everybody else gets in here. We get started.
That's him, he said he ever ignored you, didn't you? Sorry.
Did anybody? I didn't see Sue this morning. The one that just ain't coming back.
Sue Pierce, no.
She's here.
Sue, no, not Sue, the other Sue. Sue,
Oh,
Always gets here
The one.
the one that gets here, that tries to get here at 6 o'clock.
Or 10 minutes after. Okay. Because I made sure Wednesday that she understood it was at 5 o'clock. Not 6 o'clock.
oh, you talking about the lady on the block?
She hadn't been here a long time. She started coming again. She had lost her husband, and she usually sits right there on the second row on Sunday mornings. But her name was Sue.
I wanted to see,
Yeah. Skinny,
Yeah,
short hair,
yeah.
one that always comes in at 5 minutes.
Yeah.
She keeps forgetting. So. Good. You all right, Pat?
yeah, just getting old.
Get it?
Jackie, you okay?
But I can still work. That's what I work at my age.
How old are you?
63.
See, he's only 10 years older than me.
Yeah, he's a little whippersnapper.
10 years older.
Compared to the guys I work with, though, I'm 35, 40 years older than they are.
I mean, Travis at 75 was, or not 75.
How you doing, Penny?
Still not working.
70, 69,
Is he minding tonight?
Yes, he would work today if he
Talk about her. You see, the Mitchell boys used to get in trouble in Mitchell County. That's why it's Mitchell County. They had to name it because they couldn't go nowhere else. They were outlaws.
They never got in trouble.
not from what Jamie tells me. I said to him and Debbie, and he told me some stuff, and I'm going, what?
She better be careful. I tell one stuff on him to do.
We'll go ahead and open in prayer and get started. Lord, thank you for the day that you've given us, the time that you've given us to spend with each other in a fellowship and breaking the bread together. Oh, Lord, we just pray that you just be able to study tonight. Oh, Lord, show us how we apply how you've started a nation. Now let us see how us as a Christian nation should look and appear to be, and hold to your laws, your precepts, and your principles of doctrine. Just be able to study. Lord, I just ask you, those that are watching tonight, from home, that they get a nourishment, a food that they need in their daily lives. Just bless all of those that are here seated tonight and at home watching. I pray this in your precious name. Amen. All right. So last week, the only thing we did not get to was the last commandment, and that was not to covet. Covet means to desire with an evil intent.
Where did we have this? I got the different Bibles, so I don't have to worry.
We're at
Exodus 20. And
20 something.
we're at 20.
17.
Right. I was on the wrong page. I had to flip my page. Thank you, dear.
Thanks.
I'm glad that you keep me straight. So it's 20 verse 17 of Exodus, and it says, "Thou shalt not covet the neighbor's house, nor shalt covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that belongs to the neighbor." That is specifically to each other. Who is your neighbor? Your neighbor is anybody that's around you. Okay? That lives next to you or that you see. How many times have we looked at, oh man, I wish I had a boat like that. You know, just in passing. You know, it'd be nice. I look at it as, man, I have to pay a tax on that.
Yeah.
I have to register that every year. I would be more content because the money's, I can use that money somewhere else. Maybe it'll pay for groceries, or maybe it'll go to something else. What God wants us to look at with this last commandment, you shouldn't want anything of your neighbors. You should be content with what you have. Americans nowadays, they want all the toys. The one with the most toys wins. You know what? These Joneses here are quite content.
I want what the Joneses have.
I love it, Donnie, because, Dad, how many times has somebody said that to us growing up? I got to keep up with the Joneses, and they laugh at us. And we're driving old vehicles. You know, but the thing is, that's one of those things of reputations that were stuck to us like glue, like paste. But you know what? I'm content with what I have because I know God provided it. People are discontent because they're not content with what God provides. He never guaranteed us gold, silver, or all the items we ever wanted in our life. And that's the thing, is people pray, and they don't always get what they expect. They get what God provides.
There's vehicle on the road to take you.
But the thing is, God is specific with this law. Don't covet the neighbor's house. I've got a tent and he's got a dugout. You know, be glad that you got the tent. Don't cover the neighbor's wife. There's some neighbor's wives I wouldn't covet. It might get you in trouble. I'm glad that he puts up with her and not me. No, we don't do it that way. The thing is it's within the heart, right, Jackie? It's within that heart. It's the heart is where covetousness starts. Jesus said in Matthew 5, it starts in the heart, because that heart is where sin starts. What happens on the other side of that is sin playing out in its action. You can't.
On that note,
Yes.
if you refer to Matthew 5:28, but I say unto you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart.
If she's lusting after her, yeah.
It's coveting. Desiring for an evil motivation. I'm going to get that boat. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to get Herman's tractor because I really like him.
So is it, if you said, if you saw someone who had a boat and said, I'm gonna go buy one just like there's that, the same thing, it's got dinner.
No, because you're not desiring to go and possess it yourself. There's a difference. Can you afford it?
Well, if you, probably not right now, I was just gonna
But if you could,
question if you could.
Well, if you
Yeah,
could.
you could.
You know, Herman, we talked about that last week. You said, man, what about that time that I thought, man, I'd like to have that tractor that I just saw? Oh, well, it's not coveting.
Just because you like to buy one.
Because you like to get one like it.
if it has evil intent, then that's
Right.
where the
The
problem.
evil intent that would lead you to steal for it. The evil intent that would want you to do anything to get it. Look at David. David's a good example. Bathsheba. Was that coveting somebody's wife?
Yes.
And what did he do? He went as far as to murder for her, to obtain her. He murdered, but yet at the same time, he stole what didn't belong to him. Because he coveted. Whoa, there's 3 commandments that were broken just in that little span. But when we covet with an evil intention, we do everything we can to make it happen, to obtain it, to own it. So in that last one, this last commandment, he even says, even the servants, and we'll get into that here in the next chapter, because we're going to talk about that. Now, his ox, or his donkey, or his ass. You know what? I don't want nobody's livestock. I got problems with my own. But the thing is that's how they equated their wealth. Was by the livestock they had. You would trade or betroth. If you had been betrothed to somebody for marriage, there was always livestock involved because there was never gold or silver or cash. The betrothal would be of livestock. Dowry.
And the livestock brought you, what I want to say, fed you, you know.
That's right. You ate off of it. It sustained you because you could sell, trade, and buy. So,
Traded some chicken eggs for her.
oh, Herman.
Yeah.
But God puts in there anything that is thy neighbor's. Anything that is thy neighbor's. So it's an encompassing thing. It's everything. So, after this last commandment, we're going to immediately go and we're going to switch gears and we come back to the Mount Sinai. I was studying this, and as I was studying this, from the time of verse, I believe it's 25 of 19 25 of chapter 19, 2 verse 18 of where we at, chapter 20. This was all the same event. The Ten Commandments is a different, it's like a break in the action. It's like an intermission. And so, if you look at it, we could take, and we could look at verse 25, in verse 19 where it says, so Moses went down to the people and spoke to them. And then you could pick up in 18 to see what the reaction of the people are at the foot of Mount Sinai. And it says, and all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood far off. And they said unto Moses, speak with us, and we will hear, but let not God speak to us, lest we die. They understood that if God talks, God's voice carries with it judgment, punishment, and death all up front. And that's the thing. We always say, well, I wish God would talk to me. I don't know that you would really want God to personally talk to you in His presence. Because the glory, the judgment is so great of Him, we would fall dead on our feet. John did that in Revelation whenever Christ took him in the Spirit and started showing him and revealing to him who he really was. Because the glory is so great, we cannot take that glory in this sinful body to look on pure glory, purity. We would die. We can't take that because of our sinful nature. So these Israelites, they fear God with the intent of the fear is of absolute death, spiritually and physically, because they feel that the glory of God is something that they are not worthy to stand in front of. So they're going to stay a distance from that mountain. They're going to obey God, all right. But look what they say they want. It says, and they said unto Moses, speak thou with us, and we will hear. But do not let God speak with us, lest we die. This is the first time we see Israel ask for a mediator. This is the first time that we see the parallels of Christ as our mediator in place so that we can communicate and have a relationship with God. Okay? Moses is doing this person to person. Because remember, the Old Testament, we walk with God, and the New Testament is to walk in Christ. So that puts it to where it is. To where we understand who God is. We're walking with God when we read the Old Testament. Because His Spirit hasn't been taken away from the people. Here, He's directly dealing with them, but they don't want to deal. They're afraid that they will die. They will surely die. So it says in verse 20, and Moses unto the people said, fear not. God has come to prove you, and that His fear may be before your faces, that you do not sin. It's important that we understand God comes to test you. Test your faith, test your loyalty, test your obedience. That's what Moses is telling them. God is not going to put you people as a nation protected by Him unless He knows you're going to be loyal, you're going to have faith, faith in Him, and you're going to be obedient. That's been Israel's problem. They are disobedient people. They're stiff-necked people. And we'll get into that as we dig in later in Exodus. Moses tells the Israelites, you stiff-necked people. What's wrong with you? Well, you know what? Christians are stiff-necked. We can be very stubborn. When we dig our heels in, I mean, we do not give. Sometimes it's pride. So as we looked at this, the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where God was. So Moses went to the presence of God. He is within the presence of God. And the Lord said to Moses, thus shalt thou say to the children of Israel, ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. You shall not make me with gods of silver, neither shall you make unto you gods of gold. It's important that he reiterates the first few commandments. The graven image command, nor setting gods next to him. And God does not want an image of what you think he looks like, or any of that, because it takes away from the true worship. We have denominations that worship and use the cross as a symbol of what they pray to, pray within. And the cross is a symbol of the price paid and the blood shed. That cross is a tree. A tree used for a purpose. But some people use that as an idol. The true knowledge, the trueness of God in Christ lives here. It's worship from here. The church isn't a symbol which we worship. It's not the image. It's the people inside of it that worship God. The truth is spoken. The word revealed. Christ revealed. God's telling them, I don't need you to make an image of me in any form. But he's also warning them, don't make any other images. See, God doesn't like any idols, whatever it may look like or be. Because remember, there is parts of the Old Testament where some of the pagan religions put idols next to those in the tabernacle and in the temple, defiled the worship to God. And they paid dearly for that. It says, and the Lord, let's see, we looked at 24. An altar of earth shall be made unto me, that thou shalt sacrifice thereon thy burnt offerings, and that thy peace offerings, thy sheep, the oxen, and all the places where I record my name, I will come unto thee, and I will bless thee. And if thou wilt make an altar of stone, thou shalt not build it of hewn stone. It was, or hewn stone. For if thou lift up thy tool upon it, thou hast polluted it. Neither shalt thou go up by the steps unto thine altar, for thy nakedness be not discovered thereon. These are detailed things about how to build an altar. All right? That altar, the archaeologists that have been excavating the Holy Land can tell you whether an altar is a pagan altar or it's an altar that is Jewish, or of Jewish descent, or of Israelite descent. But because the stones are not tooled. Cinder blocks are like a tooled stone. These were just rocks that were just dug up, and they were fitted together. A crude altar. And that's what God wanted. He wanted uniqueness. He wanted his people to understand it don't have to look pretty. It's just got to be able to be used for the right thing. Because they would have made the altar an idol to worship. Makes sense, doesn't it? So when these archaeologists are excavating in the Holy Land, they uncover this altar, and it's got these rough, rugged, uncut stones, and it's made. And that's how they know that it's Israelite. The perfect, beautiful altar. It's all the pearly stones are polished, like tooled with a chisel and a hammer. Those were pagan altars. They were more for looks than they were for purpose. It's important that we see this. Do we do the same thing with our altars in our churches? Do we decorate them? Christ and God, they look at our hearts as they are. We come broken to the altar. We come as we are to the altar. The thing is that altar, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the grandiose stage or altar or anything. All it has to be is you come to the Lord on your knees with the open heart, the broken part of you. That altar that we're talking about here, it's all jagged, it's rough. Look at Peter. Before Peter was called Peter, and even when he was renamed Peter, he was a jagged, rough, untooled rock. Used for God's purpose. Towards the end of his life, he became the polished stone that God wanted him to be. Even though he still saw himself as the broken man, the man that should never have been forgiven and unworthy of any honor, God had showed him, Christ had showed him the humbleness of being a beautiful stone used for God's purpose. God was telling Moses, if they even raise a hammer or even a stone cutting tool to any of the altar, it's defiled in any way. That would be sure judgment and death and absolute. But for Israel, if it could not obey this at this time. Now that we've gotten to this point where we have closed out the commandments, we have seen how all altars will be constructed as. And the reason behind them now, and now God is fixing to give Moses a total of 613 different laws to build a nation of people. Yes, sir?
What's verse 26 telling me? I'm trying to understand that part and just.
Neither shall thou go by. Okay. They would wear tunics or robes, right? In Moses' time, there were no undergarments.
Oh.
So, when you would climb the steps,
They see up under the garments.
Oh, okay.
nakedness is the nakedness that God is talking about in that. It has to deal with sinful man. And if you remember in Noah, in the story of Noah, after the flood, Noah he planted a vineyard, he made new wine, he got drunk, he passed out naked in his tent. One of the boys went in and saw him, went back out, told the other two brothers, "Oh, Dad's passed out naked in the tent." The two boys go in, they walk backwards into the tent with the animal skin, and they cover their dad's nakedness. And what happens? Noah curses the son that didn't take the action, and instead went and told the other brothers. The nakedness. It's the symbolism of the sin of the world. And this is the thing. After they built the tabernacle, they'll start wearing undergarments. And the way that the robes for the priests are made, they don't have a split in them. And so they won't. They
So it
cannot.
was split open. Okay,
Right.
well,
It's on the sides. Okay? But at this point, they don't know what underwear is. Okay? It's part of that culture at this time. They're slaves.
I never really thought about it, but then I guess they wouldn't know what.
They wouldn't know what underwear was. It didn't come about until later. Okay?
So he's telling them that they cannot walk up, go to the steps of his altar.
Okay, now there won't be any steps to the altar.
Because their nakedness would show.
That's
all.
right. So it's going to be flat, straight.
Okay.
Okay? And we'll see this whenever they start building the tabernacle. Okay? When they build Solomon's temple. Okay? These kind of things are important. I'm glad you asked, because when you look at it, you're like, what are you talking about?
Well, I was fixing to ask the same
And
question.
I did research that. I was like, what are they talking about? And it was because they wore no underwear. And to reveal underneath your robe was a sin. So God's telling them, I don't want to see your sin. You defile me when you do that. Keep yourself covered. So make it flat and make it straight. Wow, that's interesting, isn't it? I never knew that growing up. We weren't taught why there were
And I've
never
read
steps
that
to an
before, I
altar.
never really thought about it.
Whenever they build an altar, it's all on level ground. Something there? Good.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a thing on altars.
Mhm.
It says normally altars would be placed in high places where people can gather and watch from above. So,
These were all on level ground. These were all on level ground.
so why would they put this little side note in there saying that they would be
Normally up on, because
normally in high places?
a pagan,
Later on, they were.
pagan, and yes, later on they were put on a little, built on a mountainside or whatever. It was just to be denoted as, to separate it from a pagan religion. Pagan religion. I like these questions. So did we answer your questions? Did we answer that question, Don?
About underwear?
Yeah.
I got curious, want to know when it was invented. It says
Okay.
the oldest evidence of linen and leather panties
Oh my gosh.
comes from the Badarian culture of pre-dynastic Egypt around 4400 BCE. It says linen and leather seem to have been the most common materials.
I guess that's what they had though.
You do with what you had.
I had
Who invented the first sandals? Think about that. Walking barefoot. The sandals weren't the common, normal thing. You couldn't afford sandals unless you were in,
So they just-
in the palace.
Yeah, but you know what? When you go barefoot all the time, because my first mother-in-law was this way, you build this callus up on the bottom of your
Yes, you
feet,
do.
and she could walk through a patch of grass first night and feel it.
That's right.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Boy, we are tenderfoot, aren't we?
Yeah, because she had a callus that thick on the bottom of her feet because all she ever did was go barefoot. She had no
Well,
shoes.
that's like when we were kids and we used to run barefoot all the time. You know, it takes a lot for the concrete to burn through to where it hurt our feet.
Don't run through a cotton field barefoot.
But as we get older, we don't run through the grass. We don't walk through the grass in bare feet. You know. So as we close this out, we see how God tells us to build an altar, the proper way to do it. That way, the offering is acceptable. It's pleasant to God, not pleasant to anybody else but God, because they're glorifying God, they're praising God, they're worshiping God. It's important that we understand to do it correctly. For if we don't do it correctly, there will be consequences. Now, in verse 21, we're going to start to look at some of the Israelite laws. Okay? There are a total of 613 laws. Dad, how big is the penal code?
It's big.
It's bigger than 613.
By far.
Okay? Think about that. 613 items you got to remember.
So that's 16 that's added underneath the law,
But
right?
you're talking about 613 things cannot do, period.
That's right.
Cannot.
It's
It
an
doesn't say you
execution.
may, it says you will.
That's right.
That's
That's
not, that's
one of the
not
ordinances
counting.
underneath the law. It's added to the law.
Right.
Okay.
Because we're looking, the Ten Commandments,
So basically, nobody could live under the law because you can't keep all those 613. There's no.
they try.
Well, I know, but I'm talking
got
about.
penalized
I'm talking
if you
about
do.
today.
Right.
People, there's no way. These
Well-
people that say we're still under the law, how do they do that?
Well, it's like,
You got penalized if you didn't.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
just like if you break the penal code in any way, there's things that they can do and there's things that they may do.
Okay.
Okay, it says you may do this, but if another one of the laws says you shall do this. So if you break one of the laws, it says you shall arrest. Okay?
Right.
Now that it says you may, then it's different. You have some leeway in there. But if it says you shall, it means you ain't gonna get away with it.
that's right. So as we start chapter 21, it says, now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. Moses has got to set these things before Israel. This is going to give you their foundational structure as a government, as a nation. And the thing is we're going to see something. Even our legal system has pulled from
So
this.
how far are you gonna go next week? Do you know?
I'm going to try to get through the servants, the
So it's
Hebrew
gonna be
servants
through the-
tonight, because we got about 15 minutes or so. Because the servants is important.
So you're gonna go to,
21, at least 1 through
Through 11.
6, maybe 11. I'm going to try to get through 11 right quick. Okay, so it says, now these judgments, God says, these judgments are what the people are going to go by. If thou buy, that term buy, purchase, a Hebrew servant, 6 years shall he serve, and then the 7th shall go free, free for nothing. Okay, we need to understand something. This is not talking about slavery. It's talking about servitude. 2 different things. A slavery is forced. It doesn't have a benefit to it. You are a slave for life or death. With servitude, you are selling a trade, a skill. You're trading and bartering for somebody that has something that you need. Okay?
So, it's that Hebrew that said they buy that Hebrew.
Now, when it says Hebrew,
It's not, that Hebrew's not a slave. He's, right?
Right.
Or not.
but you got to understand also, an Israelite can be a Hebrew, but a Hebrew cannot be an Israelite.
wait a minute, right?
Right.
That was explained. I didn't figure this out until I studied it too.
Okay.
And Dad, you know very well why. Because an Israelite is the direct descendant of Jacob. A Hebrew is a descendant of Abraham. 2 different things. Because Abraham was the father of many nations.
But what I'm trying to get at is, okay, it says, he buy Hebrew. Does that mean that Hebrew was a slave and he bought him from somebody?
No,
Or
no,
he
no,
just
no.
offered to buy
And that's where I'm fixing to explain.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
servant.
When it says buy a servant, this is a person selling themselves.
Okay.
Okay? It's not prostitution. Because what they're doing is, remember, not all Hebrews came out with silver and gold and spoils, only the Israelites.
Their way to make a living by doing the services for
That's
that.
right.
So they sold their services, so to speak.
It's
It's no
contract.
different than if you hire somebody
Right, okay.
to do a job,
Okay,
okay, and it takes this long to do that job.
okay.
After they're done with that job, they're free.
They wasn't selling their body, they were selling their services.
That's right.
That's
Gotcha,
right.
okay.
Okay.
And why would somebody else
And people
sell
get
this
that-
person to that person?
People get it confused, don't they, Mom?
Yeah, because we did that today.
You get a job.
Yeah, true.
Dad, you work a job.
They're killing me.
Okay, you work a job.
No.
The contract is you're selling your time,
Right.
your
Same,
service, and your
okay.
skill
Serving.
to get paid.
Okay.
I'll make it be just like when I had my own heavy equipment. People would hire me to come do something. for them.
That's exactly.
I would do the job, they'd pay me, and I'd move on.
Right. Same thing.
And that's why it's
But
important.
the thing about it is, you would say, well, this job is gonna take
This
a
all.
year. Okay, the same thing. They hired them for 6 years
6 years.
to do whatever it was they hired them for. After that,
About an hour.
That's right. And the thing is understand, God wanted it to a certain amount of time. What is always the number of completion? 7.
But can I read what mine says there at
Yes.
the bottom? It says poverty-stricken Israelites, whether male or female, could discharge debts and secure food and shelter by selling themselves as servants to be freed after 6 years. Like if they were in poverty and said they could free them from it.
Yes.
That's pretty neat.
Because remember, Hebrews, you can be an Israelite, be a Hebrew, but you couldn't be Hebrew, be an Israelite. Because those were, Hebrew was a derogatory term that was used.
Homeless.
It was immigrants. It was impoverished. It was people dependent on whatever system they were living in. Okay? Does that sound familiar? So Hebrew was a term to try to lump. It was a derogatory term. Okay? It's not an ethnic group. It's just a term. An ethnic group is Israelite. An Israelite is an ethnic group. And so, do you see how it plays today? When somebody says they're illegal immigrants, and they get very offended by it, it's better to call it. It would be like calling somebody a Hebrew in a derogatory manner. You're worthless. You don't have anything of worth. You don't have any possessions. You're an immigrant. You're a half-breed. Anything like that.
When I was a kid growing up, there were no wetbacks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that's what we're looking at. This term.
Still are.
Would you walk up to a Jew and tell him he's a Hebrew?
Never thought about it, yes. But
Not unless you want to fight.
I never thought about it, but yeah, I know.
It's a derogatory term.
A lot of these nations call Israelites Hebrew.
Even because they're reading Hebrew, they write Hebrew. Everything you see is Hebrew.
Well, they could probably do it to each other, but we better not. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. That's just like, yeah.
A white on white, a black on black.
Yeah.
Do you understand see how that plays today?
Yeah, it does.
It does. It's right here. But this is an outdated book.
It is.
It's outdated. It's supposed to be the past. But you see the relevancy of today in this.
You can the N-word, for instance.
Right.
You can go to inside the prisons now.
Yes.
Because they were doing it before I got released. Everybody and their brother calls each other the N-word, whether they're white, black, Hispanic.
Because it doesn't mean a black person.
That's right. It means a slave.
Yeah, well, it means a low person. It's what word am I looking for?
It's like in these terms of Hebrew and Israelite, you're a U.S., United States citizen and true American, but at heart I'm a Texan. That's the difference. If you want to look at it that way, does that kind of help you kind of relate it a little better? When we put it in our own level, where we can understand it, then we learn something we've never learned before. I never knew that there was a difference between Hebrew, Israelite, and all of that.
I never really thought about it.
I never really thought.
Well, like the example you just gave.
Right.
You got the nation of the United States. But I'm a Texan. It's like you got Alaskans, California, or
Those would be like the tribes.
Yeah, or it's, yeah, a tribe inside the United States, okay.
But in Hebrew, as a nation, as a
don't mess with Texas.
Don't
okay, so we find out that these servants are people that are selling their services, their skills, their trades to try to get out of indebted.
They're trying to get out of debt.
Get out of
Poverty,
debt.
yeah.
They owe something, okay, or they need something, okay, and the person that they're trying to sell themselves to or their services provides.
And maybe there are people that they're in debt to.
Okay, so the thing is maybe they're getting provided room and board. Maybe they're getting provided food. Protection. Okay? They're going to serve the 6 years. And then come the 7th year, they're free. They gain freedom. So there is a limit to what is going on. I'm losing my voice.
Hello.
You losing your batteries out of it or what?
Yeah, I was to now.
So, okay. So, God intended it to be limited. Slavery is intended until you die. But we're going to see that there's an exemption in this law. And so at the 7th year, you're going to get set free, and you're paid nothing. You've already paid your debt to whatever you agreed to. Okay? Now remember, if you look at it, it's talking he. We're talking male servants. Okay? We'll get to female servants. But this is talking about male servants. And it says, if he came in by himself, then he shall go out by himself. But if he were married, then his wife should go with him. Okay, so Jack, it would be like you needed something. You trade your service, and Jackie agrees to serve in maybe the house, cleaning the house, or doing laundry or whatever. But so you guys are a team for that 7 years, or 6 years, then the 7th year, you both go free. Okay?
This is not good. I just got ran ahead of this. Wow.
And then it says, if his master gave him a wife, okay? Oh, so you walk in single, and the master says, ooh, you look like you're a monk. Would you like to have a wife?
No.
Sure.
But you better say no.
So that master will go and get you a wife, purchase a wife, basically, do a betrothal. But then it says, if his master gives him a wife and she bore him any sons or daughters, the wife and the children shall be the master's possession, and he only leaves by himself. This is why. The wife that was purchased by the master is considered a possession. Okay? It's considered a possession. Just as an ox or a donkey.
But would the kids be a possession? There is also.
They stay with the master.
They say with the mother, so to speak.
Yes. So that they don't get separated. The mother and the children belong to the master. Okay? That sounds kind of rough.
Hey, that's a pretty good deal back then.
Oh, Jack. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Because then we see, and if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go free. See the dedication? I love my master. This is putting a master on the firing line. Because it's going to show you how well a master treats the servant. If the servant is getting treated well, he's going to want to stay.
Master sure here's his heel.
And then how is this going to happen? Then the individual becomes a lifelong servant. And to become a lifelong servant, the master takes and pierces the ear with a wood awl in the door a peg.
Would you think it would become like a brand? Maybe.
It actually is to denote, in case that servant ever was to change their mind and try to escape.
So it would only belong to him. So it's like a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's where we get the term bond servant.
Bond servant.
I got a question. How relevant is that to our life in Christ?
We are his bond servant.
We're bond
Yes,
servants.
we are.
What is the awl in our ear? Isn't the seal on our hearts? See how that plays?
And no, we've taught that in the New Testament. I
We-
don't think it's in the Old Testament.
See how it correlates?
Yeah.
It's not by chance or coincidence, is it, Mom?
No. That's, yeah.
Isn't it a beautiful picture? I love my master.
So, when you look at this in Exodus,
Yes.
I know it's talking about that, but it's also giving us a picture of us with Christ.
Yes, the servitude that we give to Christ.
Yeah.
Now, do you understand how important and how serious it is whenever we read Paul's letters about being a servant of Christ? How Jesus teaches us in Matthew and then throughout the Gospels how to be a servant.
Where it talks about the bond servant in the New Testament.
And he also talks about being an unmerciful servant. Imagine what would happen if God was an unmerciful servant. It would not work out. We would not be here. We would not exist. But you see the picture of the gospel in the Old Testament. That's why it's important to study it. It's still relevant. It's beautiful. It's a picture of who God is. This is God we're talking about that gave these walls. Now you understand who God is and his character. Because the New Testament gives us who Jesus is and his character. So when we read this, the piercing of the ear with the awl of the doorpost, the seal upon our hearts when we accept Christ. Because we love our Master so much, we will serve him to the end of our days. And then we look at verse 7, and we're going to look at maidservants. And it says, if a man sells his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall go out as the men servants do. If she pleases not her master, who hath betrothed her to himself, then he shall let her be redeemed, to sell her unto a strange nation. To sell her into a strange nation, he shall have no power. Means he cannot resell her into any other place. Seeing that he has dealt deceitfully with her. He has broken faith with her. He is broken what was pure. But the thing is you notice that it says, a man sells his daughter to be a maidservant. Females couldn't sell themselves. They could not sell themselves. So the fathers, maybe the family needs to pay, they need money or whatever. But they're too old. They may be to where they didn't want to work or they were too old to work. They could use their daughter, sell their daughter's services to be a servant. It sounds kind of cruel. It sounds like human trafficking in a way. But we'll get to that. That's on further down these walls. But a man can sell his daughter, can sell his son. Now it says if she didn't please the master who bought her, guess what? Buyer beware. You bought her, now you get stuck with her. Or you have to redeem her to her family. And she can't be sold, so you lose your money. She can't be resold. She has to be returned to her family. Her family gets her back.
And they sell her again.
Could be.
I guess.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And if he betroths her unto his son, and he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. So if he keeps her, and then he goes off and he says, well, I want a second wife, and gets him a second wife, he has to treat this one. He has to treat this one just like a daughter. Okay?
Sounds like they didn't have a whole lot of respect for women. I mean, in this respect.
In this aspect, no.
What in this aspect? Real, I mean, seriously. Or that's the way it sounds.
So if he betrothed her to his son, if this master said, I'm going to give you to my son, and he'll marry you, and he takes care of that, and he takes care of her, then she is, as a daughter, she is family.
It's not that they didn't respect them or anything.
It's like they were
but it's-
property.
Well, God's telling them to do this.
Right.
They're not doing anything God hasn't
Because it's in the law.
said
Right.
that they couldn't do.
Is this part of, is this what's
This is part of this law.
Right, okay.
These are like these subsections of the law.
And they all come from God.
That's right.
Wow, that's crazy.
Now, if he takes another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall not diminish. Okay, so if the master takes a second wife, I'm sorry, we were talking about the son. Okay, now we're talking about a guy that decides he's going to have a second wife. He cannot subtract. He cannot ignore. He cannot do anything to lessen what that one first wife has. Called alimony.
How can they handle two wives back then? Well, some of them had 3, 4 wives.
That's right.
Some of them
Hey,
have
well,
that. Yeah.
Well, that.
But then they
But you know why that's done that way?
Yeah, that's what they
You know why that's done that way, though? It's to promote monogamy. One wife, one husband. Okay? Remember Adam and Eve.
So how would that promote that?
If you had to pay out of your pocket for 2 wives, would you just keep one?
I would think it would be to populate.
Yeah, that's what I.
It could
Okay,
be.
that could be true, yeah.
Remember,
That was the
we're,
whole purpose of it, yeah.
the earth wasn't as populated as it is now.
Right.
How many men back then could afford 2 wives?
That's 2 camels.
Okay, these, I got a question on the law.
Yes, ma'am.
About the 10 commandments that we got all these
Mhm.
laws. Aren't those man-made laws? You're saying that there's gods, but are they, I thought they were man-made laws.
I don't think
These are Mosaic law. This is part of the Mosaic law that we hear about in the New Testament. You remember Jesus saying the Mosaic law. He always refers to the Mosaic law as being fulfilled whenever he came. This is part of it.
So those 600 something came from God.
Yes. Moses received these from God. This is the structure. We're looking at the structure of a nation. Okay?
Where does it come in where they're talking about these laws that they made and all these laws that people were making and
That becomes whenever the Judges, the book of Judges, that's whenever, and then whenever the temple was established and you had temple leadership decided to make some of their own laws on top of what these basic 613 are. These 613 are Mosaic law because they were given from God to Moses to the people. Because we read, those people didn't want to hear this from God.
Right.
Because they would have died.
So I didn't realize that he gave them all
And so, think about it. You have to pay alimony if you take on a second wife. You pay alimony to the first wife. And if he does not, these three things to her, which is the food, the clothing, and the duties to the marriage, then she goes free and no money. She gains her freedom.
And if he does not do these three from her.
Yeah, if he doesn't take care of her needs, then she's a free woman. She can do whatever she wants to. She's ain't got no money.
Right.
And that's where we'll end it tonight. Because we kind of run a little over. Because the next one is laws regarding murder. We'll see a lot of that. It's pretty close to the Texas Penal Code on some of these. Don't you agree, Dad?
Well, Texas is not the only people that have the penal code.
Nope. But
You have to look at something and the nation
right.
has attorney general. Okay, the nation has an attorney general. Each state has an attorney general.
That's right.
You'll see laws in each state kind of mimic the laws of the other state. Where did they get them? Guess what?
This is where they got it. You think mistreatment of elderly people is just one of those things? Oh, we'll get into it next week. You could be put to death for mistreating elderly. What do we give them? Jail time.
Mistreating elderly, children, and animals.
We're going to talk about that. Okay? And it gets pretty rough. You wouldn't believe what you could be executed for. In today's society, we think that's inhumane.
She did that.
Mm-hmm. So, any questions? Any comments? Did y'all learn a little bit tonight? That was interesting.
It was.
About the Hebrew versus Israelite versus Hebrew. That's important. We need to learn that. We need to know that because that depicts a servant, Hebrews, slaves versus servitude. So anytime if Jack says, "Boy, they just worked me like a slave," well, not really, as a servant because you got paid for it.
They'll make it up.
Right.
They need to boost some of that.
All right.
Some of that bait.
Thank you for coming and supporting us. This is fun to look into this because I study it during the week. I always find something new. I always see something new. All right, let's bow and know this business. Lord, thank you for this evening. Thank you for the time that we dug into your word. Lord, I thank you for revealing your character in the heart of who you are through what we read tonight. That you care and want protection for your people, for your children. But there has to be the rules in order to give us some kind of structure, some kind of discipline. Now, Lord, as we go throughout this week, just be with each and every one of us. Let us share your word. Let us testify and witness of your Son. Let us minister to somebody that needs to hear just a word of peace. Forgive us where we fail you and fall short. Pray this in your holy and precious name. Amen.